and I used to put 2 sweaters on and fold them that way. Hollywood's most mysterious star took his final secret to the grave. In 1990, Dirk Bogarde starred in what would become his last movie role, but something went horribly wrong. The man who had shocked audiences with controversial films suddenly refused to talk about this one. He burned his personal papers, destroyed his diaries, and went silent. Friends said he was ashamed, but the truth was darker. What happened during those final months of filming that made Britain's bravest actor want to erase all traces of his last performance? Dirk Bogarde was born on March 28, 1921 in Hampstead, London. His full name was Derek Jules Gaspard Ulrich Niven van den Boog. The name itself felt like a story. It carried hints of his Dutch, Scottish, and English roots. His father's side linked him to Belgian ancestry, and his middle names gave off an air of European class. But behind that grand name was a boy who had spent his life hiding as much as he revealed. From the start, Dirk knew how to play roles. Even his stage name, Dirk Bogarde, was a mask he put on after World War II. It helped him seem more relatable, but it covered up a far more complicated truth. Dirk's father, Ulrich van den Boog, was a respected art critic and the first art editor of the Times. His mother, Margaret Niven, had once been an actress and was the daughter of a well-known Scottish painter. Their home in North London often welcomed artists, writers, and actors. Dirk grew up surrounded by culture and creativity, but this world taught him the importance of keeping up appearances. He learned early that reputation was everything. His father dreamed that Dirk would follow in his footsteps at the Times, but Dirk was drawn toward the stage instead. He longed to create and to escape. At age 18 in 1939, Dirk stepped onto the West End stage in J.B. Priestley's Cornelius. Performing under the name Dirk Bogarde, he showed that he had both charm and intensity. Even then, he used acting as a way to protect himself. On stage, he could hide behind a character. This double life, public and private, was something he would master. But just as his career began, the world changed. War broke out, and Dirk's journey as an actor was put on hold. Before the war, Dirk studied at Chelsea College of Art. There he learned from famous artists like Henry Moore. He developed not only his eye for detail, but also his understanding of how to build an image. His love of art and literature, especially about World War I, shaped his view of the world. When World War II came, he had to leave his studies behind, but what he learned at Chelsea stayed with him, and it showed in everything he did later as an actor, a writer, and a painter. In 1940, Dirk joined the British Army at 22. He became an officer in the Queen's Royal Regiment, West Surrey. Over 5 years, he rose to the rank of major and earned 7 medals. He worked as an intelligence officer, studying aerial photos to help plan attacks and guide Allied troops. His work was serious and often secret. He worked with Field Marshal Montgomery's 21st Army Group and the Royal Canadian Air Force. Dirk rarely spoke about his service with pride. Instead, he downplayed his role. But the facts show a young man who took on great responsibility and carried it out with care. One of the most haunting parts of Dirk's war story was his claim that he witnessed the liberation of Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in April 1945. He described seeing starving survivors and piles of bodies. A young girl, her body broken by hunger and disease, spoke to him in English. These memories shaped how people saw him as someone who had stared into the heart of horror. But later, biographers questioned this part of his story. Evidence suggested he may have visited the camp soon after the liberation, but not as one of the first to enter. Some think he mixed up what he saw with what he was told. Whether or not the details were exact, the emotional truth of that moment stayed with him forever. Dirk's job in the war went beyond studying photos. He had to choose bombing targets. His decisions could save Allied lives, but cost innocent ones. Villages could be destroyed because of the marks he made on a map. After the war, he was haunted by guilt. He could never forget that children and families died because of choices he had to make. He spoke of nightmares and of the crushing burden of responsibility. This guilt followed him for the rest of his life. One day, Dirk visited a village he had marked for bombing. He thought he saw footballs lying in the rubble, but they weren't footballs. They were the skulls of children. The children had been herded into a narrow alley for safety, but the buildings collapsed on them during the attack. This sight broke something inside him. He never forgot the horror of what he saw, and it haunted his dreams for years. The war left marks on Dirk that no one could see. He called it an internal tattooing. The shock of what he had witnessed was burned into him forever. He spoke of how such trauma could never truly fade. It shaped how he saw himself, how he related to others, and how he worked. His pain showed in his performances and in his writing. Dirk Bogarde lived with those scars every day. Dirk Bogarde's journey to stardom felt like something out of a movie. In 1947, he appeared in a stage play called Power Without Glory at the New Lindsay Theatre. The performance was so powerful that it caught the attention of Newell Coward, one of Britain's most famous playwrights and actors. Coward was so impressed that he urged Bogarde not to quit acting. That advice changed everything. Soon, a talent scout from the Rank organization heard the buzz and offered Bogarde a contract. At the time, getting a Rank contract was rare. It meant Bogarde was on his way to becoming a star before he even appeared in a film. The studio took a chance on him, and it paid off. Bogarde quickly became one of Britain's top actors. His name also changed. Born Derek Niven van den Bogarde, his original name felt too long and foreign-sounding for British audiences. His agent suggested Dirk Bogarde. The name had a sharp, mysterious feel that suited the image they wanted. This wasn't just a small change, it was the start of a new identity. Dirk Bogarde became famous across the UK. Within 10 years, his name was on posters everywhere. The choice of name helped shape how people saw him. Sophisticated, intense, and intriguing. His big break in film came in 1950. He played Tom Riley, a cold-blooded cop killer, in The Blue Lamp. This shocked audiences. Post-war Britain valued law and order, and seeing a character like Riley was disturbing. Bogarde's performance felt real and frightening. The film won the BAFTA Award for Best British Film in 1951. It also set Bogarde apart as an actor willing to play villains and deeply troubled characters. His success in The Blue Lamp opened new doors and set the stage for more challenging roles. By 1955, Bogarde was a box office king. His role as Dr. Simon Sparrow in Doctor in the House, 1954, made him a household name. That film drew 17 million admissions in its first year. He became Britain's top box office star in both 1955 and 1957. People loved him as the clean-cut, charming hero. But even during this time, Bogarde felt trapped. He wanted more than the safe, predictable roles that came with fame. This hunger for more complex parts was already growing inside him. His success came with a major contract. Bogarde signed a 14-year deal with the Rank organization. At first, he earned £30 per week. That number grew as his films became hits. The contract gave him financial security, but it also tied him to roles he no longer wanted. Even as he signed the deal, Bogarde was thinking about how to break free. He didn't want to be just a matinee idol. He dreamed of doing work that meant something deeper. In 1961, he made a bold move. At the height of his fame, Bogarde left Rank. He had starred in over 30 films and topped the box office. But he was done. Walking away from such success was risky. He could lose everything: money, fans, career stability. But Bogarde chose art over safety. His first project after leaving was Victim 1961, where he played a closeted gay lawyer. The role was controversial, but it showed Bogarde's courage. He was ready to take risks for the sake of meaningful stories. 2 years later, he took another daring step. In The Servant, 1963, Bogarde played Barrett, a manipulative man. The role was dark, twisted, and the opposite of the charming heroes he used to play. Bogarde chose this part on purpose. He wanted to destroy the clean image that had made him famous. The Servant shocked viewers. It showed how far Bogarde would go to challenge himself and his audience. The gamble worked. His performance won him his first BAFTA Award for Best Actor in 1964. He brought Barrett to life with subtle menace. The film's black and white look and tense atmosphere added to the unease. Bogarde found a perfect creative partner in director Joseph Lassie. Lassie had been blacklisted in Hollywood but found new freedom in Britain. Together they made bold films that explored class, power, and sexuality in ways that shocked audiences. Their work included The Servant, King and Country, 1964, An Accident, 1967. These films pushed British cinema into darker, more adult territory. Bogarde and Lassie's partnership left a lasting mark on film history. Bogarde spoke openly about his choices. He said he was tired of playing the same kind of roles over and over. He risked his reputation and his income to prove he could do more. His career became a story of courage and reinvention. Dirk Bogarde took risks that few actors of his time dared to face. In 1961, he starred in Victim, a film that shook British cinema to its core. This was the first English-language movie to use the word homosexual on screen. Bogarde played Melville Farr,